How's it going, lads? Today I'm going to be talking about my biggest regrets when it comes to Pokemon investing. This is my biggest mistakes I've ever made Pokemon investing and what I've learned from it and how you can learn off of my mistakes. You can not take someone's advice, you can ignore them. Yeah, what do you know? Eventually learn from your mistakes and then, go ahead and say, oh, well, I learned from my mistakes. Or you can be smart and learn off of someone else's mistakes. So I hope that you can learn off of my mistakes and then you don't make these same mistakes, because if you don't listen, you will do the exact same thing. But let's begin. All right, so none of these are in specific orders, but they're all incredibly important. I don't really want to list them because my situation may have been different to your situation. So that's why I can't really list them. I just want to say before we start this video, thank you guys so much for the support. You guys are honestly really, really nice. And I said this in a different video, but I just want to say it again. I saw this Pokemon community which is full of a bunch of shitheads, and I guess I must have just crossed onto a bunch of shitty people. But honestly, you guys are really, really amazing. So I really, really like that. Not only I can make videos for you guys, but I can also talk to like-minded people, because we all love Pokemon, but we also want to make some cash off of it. So whether you want to reinvest that into the hobby because you want to fuel your hobby, or you want to make some money, either way works. So that's why you're here. So I'm happy that my like-minded community has found my channel. So yeah, I'm going to keep making content for you guys. So thank you so much. Let's get started with the video. Number one is over-investing. I have overinvested many, many times, and it has bit me in the butt every single time. The problem about overinvesting is that you'll only overinvest when it punishes you, right? If you overinvest but you never have an issue with it, you didn't actually overinvest. So if you overinvested, you'll know it. And when I say that, I mean, if you overinvested, that means you have to delay putting car in your fuel because you have to wait for your paycheck, or bills are coming up and you have to sell off some Pokemon. Perhaps you bought 10 boxes, but you just quickly downsize to 8 because you need to sell the other 2. That's overinvesting. Overinvesting is basically we are investing so much that you're actually becoming uncomfortable, which literally defeats the entire purpose of investing. Investing is literally investing spare money. If you don't have spare money, don't invest. So that's the thing, this was a huge mistake. I did it over and over again. I don't really do it anymore. So this requires a severe amount of discipline, and the reason is because I understand how it is when there's a tremendous opportunity and then you think like, this is the set, this is it. Like, we've got 151, we've got Prismatic Evolutions, we've got Paladin Faith. Like, what a time to be alive, right? Like, we have so many options, but you need to understand that there's always going to be opportunities in Pokemon. So overinvesting is just plain stupid. I personally thought a couple years ago that Sword and Shield was it, and I didn't think Scarlet and Violet would move, and I stand absolutely, completely incorrect. I was a complete idiot. Thankfully, I've fixed my view because that was just so tainted and stupid, but unfortunately, I did let people persuade me into that, so you do need to be careful about the people you hang around. And if somebody hasn't been in the hobby for more than like 6 months to a year, maybe even longer than a year, I wouldn't really listen to them. You want to be talking to somebody who knows what they're talking about and has been here for at least one era. All right, next thing on the list was following the wave. So when I say following the wave, I mean basically when people say this is going to be the next big set, just following it. So generally humans tend to be incorrect a lot of the time. And basically people tend to not really understand what they're talking about. And people generally, in this society, people always need to have an opinion. And I find that's very dangerous because you hear a lot of skewed opinions. And this is something that I think is really tainted with the Pokemon industry, where people say stuff that is just not true. Now, it's not my problem. I don't care. When someone says something that's not true, I genuinely couldn't give a shit. But when it's affecting people's investing, that's where I really want to put that person in line and say, hey, you really should not be listening to this person. They literally have no idea what they're talking about. I'm sorry to say, but it's most people. People have no idea what they want. There's actually a saying that says, if you listen to the fans enough, you'll be then sitting on the seats with them. Basically saying the fans actually don't know what they want, and if you give them what they want, then you will end up being a fan because you won't be the celebrity. And this is the thing, people say, Pokemon, oh, they could be so successful, the industry would do so well if they made great cards in every set. Well, no, that's bullshit, because then that means that they're bringing in too many good cards. If they make too many Charizards, then people get sick and tired of it. Like we are literally seeing with Charizard, and Pokemon have learnt that. So people have no idea what they're talking about, so do not follow the wave. I want to mention a couple sets that were apparently going to be the next big set. So in Sword and Shield, there were a couple debates, okay? Should you invest in Celebrations versus Evolving Skies? People said invest in Celebrations. They were just point blank wrong. That was literally the tide. The tide was Celebrations. Another one was Brilliant Stars. Brilliant Stars people just glazed because it had Charizard in it, and that was literally it. And lo and behold, they were correct. And then another one was, and what was another one? Oh, Fusion Strike is a shit set. Wow, that's crazy. I remember I was arguing with this guy on Reddit back when I was an idiot, and basically I was arguing with him, and it was on a subreddit, the Poke Investing subreddit, right? And I was saying, you're an idiot, you have no idea what you're talking about. Fusion Strike is going to be a phenomenal set. It is literally, everything about it is perfect, right? And then I said, you're an idiot, you have no idea what you're talking about. And then I set this bot where it could remind me in a year, and then I could come back to the conversation and say how much of an idiot was. It was so childish, and it was a waste of time, right? I mean, the dude was an idiot, but it was still a waste of my time. I was an idiot as well for engaging in it. But the thing is, he was saying how Fusion Strike is shit, and it's overprinted, and yada, 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 right? And then skip a year later, and he was celebration ETBs went from 150 to 200 or 250, and Fusion Strike went from 160 a box to almost $1,000. And the guy clearly had no idea what he was talking about, and this was a huge debate back then. So many people, in fact most people, said that Sword and Shield will do terrible. So if you followed the wave, you would be crying right now. You would not be laughing, you would be crying. So do not follow the tide. And this is actually something you can generally take advice for pretty much anything, really. People just have no idea what they're talking about. And it's funny because the people who have no idea what they're talking about generally speak the loudest, and the people who know what they're talking about don't give a shit to educate those people. There's a saying that I really like, which is that a bee will never spend even a minute explaining to a fly why eating honey is better than shit. It basically says, hey, the smartest people generally don't care about your opinion because it doesn't affect them. So only stupid opinion is being spread rapidly. So that obviously doesn't apply for everything, but for Pokemon, it applies everywhere. Alrighty, my next big mistake was hopping from investment to investment. And it really pains me because the problem is when you once owned once of everything, then when those eventually go up, then you feel the pain of it. Evolving Skies, I owned so many boxes at $600. Now they're $3K each, which, you know, I still don't... actually, I don't really cry myself to sleep anymore. I don't really care that much. All the losses I made from Sword and Shield, all the losses from poor investments I've pretty much made back because I made smarter decisions. So yeah, that no longer doesn't... I don't regret it because I learned a lesson from it. As long as you take something from it, like, I'm going to get that lesson for life, right? So money well spent. But yeah, I hopped from investment to investment. I had this serious issue where I was like, oh man, this set is so good. It's the shit. It is amazing. I would buy, 4, 5, 6, 7 cases of Fusion Strike. I'd be like, man, this set is going to be amazing. And then, a couple months later, maybe it goes up $20, $30. And I'm like, oh, $20, $30 times 30 booster boxes. Oh, righty, let's take some profit, lads. And then I would just do this over and over again. That's not investing. That's not even trading. That's just stupid. Like, that's like $20 profit per box. It's not even worth it. So yeah, I had literally no idea what I was doing. Hopping from investment to investment is just the last thing you want to do. So that is like a huge no-no. And if I could advise you, if you take one thing from this video, I would say hopping from investment to investment is the one thing you don't want to do. When you buy a box, commit to holding it. And if you face the consequences of it because it barely appreciates when other boxes do really well, you need to face the consequences of that. Because when you throw money at a box, you have to almost like punish yourself for making a dumb decision, right? You can't just go, Fusion Strike is doing good, but I think OVERINVEST is going to do better. Oh, buys of OVERINVEST, guys. Oh my goodness. Astral Radiance. Oh, there's a fire sale. Amazon has a sale. I need to sell all my Astral Radiance and buy Silver Tempest. Like, if you do that, you're just going to cook yourself completely. So do not do that whatsoever. I think it is a horrible thing to do. And yeah, once again, because you at one point owned like 30 Fusion Strike boxes, when they eventually appreciate really well, then it hurts really, really bad. And the thing is, it's almost irrelevant because you held it for like 2 weeks, but it still stings, right? So yeah, do not hop from investment to investment. Alrighty, so the next thing on the list is not being cash heavy. You need to be cash heavy. So I'll give you a great example, right? So a good mate of mine called me and he said, hey man, I've got a mate, I think he had distribution or something. This guy ran some sort of store. It wasn't a card store, but basically he got some 151 and he didn't care to get market price for it. I believe he got allocated some. I forgot how he got it, but he had it. And, or maybe he had a bill. I don't really know what the reason was, but my mate said to me, he said, hey, I can get you 151 displays for $800 each. And this was only about a month ago. A lot of my displays there actually came from that. So I got those displays for $800 each. Sealed displays. Loose ones I got for $750 each, which was a fantastic, it was a fantastic opportunity. So the thing is, he called me and he said, if you want it, you need to pay right now. I sent him $5K immediately. I was like, done, let's do it, man. I kid you not, even 4 hours later, he was like, all right, here you are, sir. There are your boxes. So do note the guy who bought it, like, called me. He got his share of it. He was happy with the amount that he got. And because there were extras, he then said, hey, if you want the extras, just take them. So always be cash heavy. You never know when opportunities will strike. And I'll use a very good example. This guy had some bills to pay and he needed to get rid of a Burning Shadows booster box case for $3,500. Good chance I would have been able to negotiate to about $3,200. But let's just say $3,500, right? For the Burning Shadows booster box case. And this was only like January. So if I had the money, he was more like December. I think it was November, right? But far out, man, if I could have bought that, holy moly. I've always wanted a position in Sun and Moon, but for me, it's just the prices were always so expensive. So this was the perfect opportunity. And I think the cases probably go for like, probably 10K now. Because the thing is, the boxes are like 1,800 each, I believe, or like 1,500. It's something like that. And then a sealed case would have a premium on top. So sealed cases probably go for like 8 to 9K, maybe even 10K. So, being cash heavy is just always urgent. Like, you always want to be cash heavy, especially when, Amazon would list Silver Tempest boxes for 420 AUD. And, like, deals like that don't come often, right? The better the deal, the faster it sells. So you don't want to be the kind of guy quickly listing Prismatic Evolutions at 70% of value to quickly get that money and then quickly put it into this other thing and then hoping it doesn't sell out and hoping they fulfill it. And then if they cancel your order, then you sold your other boxes cheap. So do not overinvest, but also be cash heavy, right? If you want to make a position on Paladin Fates and you have 10K in your bank account, and let's just say it's 10K of splurging money, I would say maybe put 5K into Paladin Fates. The other 5 just leave for opportunities. Opportunities are always everywhere. So you always, and the thing is, there's always going to be a better opportunity, but you never know when it's going to come. And that's the beauty about opportunities, is you don't know when they're going to come. And that's why they are good opportunities. If you knew when they'd come, it wouldn't be a good opportunity because someone else would just snap it up. So yeah. Alrighty, next thing on the list is listening to bears. So if you're not aware what a bear is basically somebody who's negative about a certain investment, and you don't want to listen to these people. Well, it's not that you don't want to listen to them, but you want to be extremely cautious listening to these kinds of people. And the reason is because all of Pokemon goes up, right? So I make Pokemon investing YouTube videos, and I could literally say anything's going to go up, and I would just be a saint. People would go, oh, this guy's amazing. He said a booster box is going to go up, and it did. So yes, like it's very easy to be right in this market in a sense. And that's why you need to be very careful with people who are negative to things, because generally they don't know what to think. Death and Riles, for example, people say, oh, Death and Riles, oh my gosh, it's so disappointing. No, it's not. Like, grow up. It's not disappointing. It's a phenomenal set. It is a killer set. Is it the best set of the era? This has been a good era, though. In fact, I'm going to be making a video on why I think Scarlet Violet is a better era than Sword and Shield. And I'm pretty keen for that video, so I'm going to be recording it after this one. So I'm pretty excited for that one. But anyways, people are just so short-minded and people are so negative about stuff. Take Paladin Fates, for example. People were negative for Paladin Fates for the longest time. I'm not going to say that I was like the one guy who liked it. I'm not going to say that. Like, a lot of people liked Paladin Fates, but the majority didn't really, especially when like Prismatic, especially when 151 kind of shined over it. And then there was other, like, still like Sword and Shield that's quite accessible, like Lost Origin for like $200 a box. So the thing is that you don't want to listen to people who are negative about sets, because generally they're negative about it because they had really high expectations and then they didn't know what they wanted. Take the Mewtwo from Death and Rails, right? People were saying, oh, well, depending on what the Mewtwo looks like is depending on how the set will do. And they said, if it's an amazing artwork, then the set will do amazing. And they're not wrong. That is correct. However, when it came out, people were just hateful about it. People said, oh, it's an ugly card. Oh, it's terrible. Oh, Death and Rails is a flop. Oh, I waited like literally 2 years. They hyped this set for a long time. They were like, oh, I waited this long for this shit set. Oh, and they were complaining, right? They're all idiots. They're all going to be buying it in a year's time. And they're all going to be going, all right, you know what? It's actually pretty solid. And they're going to warm up to it. People do it literally every single time. They need time to warm up to it. And the reason is because they don't know what they want. So then eventually they warm up to it. And this happens a lot. I notice that this happens whenever companies bring out something that's very new. Generally, people don't like it to begin with. And then they warm up to it in a year's time. And the same thing happens with Pokemon sets. Like, a ton. But the funny part is a lot of time when someone warms up to it, it's too late because it's gone out of rotation. Take Parlay Fates, for example, it hasn't gone out of rotation, but it's just taken off like all Pokemon, but it's still taken off. And for a lot of people, they kind of miss their opportunity to buy the packs like $4 a pack, which is pretty funny to be honest, because I had displays when they were like $350 for a steel display, and yeah, I mean, it was cool. People liked the set, but people didn't like. But some people had liked it, but a lot of people were just really negative about it. And it was being ETBs were being fire sold for like $40. So yeah, don't follow the wave, and also don't try. Be very cautious when you listen to bears. So, of course, at the end of the day, they might be right on some certain things, but the problem is that because all Pokemon goes up, a lot of the time these people are just going to naturally be wrong because we don't know what the market is going to do. Like, we have no idea. That's going to do it for today's video. Thank you guys for watching. Have a good one.